Listen, all I wanted was an iced vanilla latte and a quiet corner to read my silly little fantasy novel. Is that too much to ask of the universe? Is it? Because based on the events of this afternoon, the universe took my simple, humble request, laughed in my face, and decided to test my patience in a way that would make a saint throw hands. Let me set the scene for you. It's 10 o'clock a.m. on a Saturday. I'm at my favorite local indie coffee shop, Extraction. Yes, the name is pretentious, but their espresso doesn't taste like burnt tires, so I give them a pass. It's pouring rain outside. The indie folk playlist is at the perfect volume, and I have just settled into the plush corner booth by the window. I am 36 pages into a 600-page fantasy romance novel. There are dragons. There is a mortally gray Shadow King. There is a map at the front of the book. I am in my element. I am thriving. I am completely untethered from the burdens of reality. And then he arrives. It wasn't so much an arrival as it was a tactical deployment. He breaches the front door of the coffee shop like he's executing a hostage rescue, bringing a gust of wind and the overpowering scent of eucalyptus and unwarranted self-confidence. He is wearing a Patagonia fleece vest over a fitted black athletic shirt, despite it being a comfortable 70 degrees inside. He's got the slate gray Allbirds, the Lululemon ABC pants, and a posture so rigidly upright, I'm genuinely concerned he might have swallowed a yardstick. Instead of going to the counter to order like a normal, functioning member of society, he immediately zeroes in on the empty 4-person table directly adjacent to my tiny 1-person sanctuary. He slams down a matte black backpack that looks like it could survive a nuclear blast. Out comes a sleek silver laptop, then an external portable monitor, then a heavy-duty ergonomic aluminum laptop stand, then, and I swear on my life I am not exaggerating for comedic effect, a literal battery-powered 6-inch ring light, which he clips to the top of his screen. He hasn't even looked at the menu. He walks up to the barista, a lovely girl named Chloe who already looks like she's fighting a migraine, and I hear him say, loudly with his chest, "I'll just take a cup of your highest alkaline tap water. No ice. Ice shocks the digestive system. Serial entrepreneur, you know how it is. Gotta keep the bioengine running lean." Chloe blinks. "We just have city water in a cup?" "Perfect. The chlorine builds grit," he replied, entirely deadpan. He returns to his command center with his sweating plastic cup of free water. For the next 3 hours, I am subjected to the most excruciating, involuntary psychological torture of my adult life. He puts in a single Bluetooth earpiece. Not AirPods, an actual blinking 2009-style corporate Bluetooth earpiece. And he does not use his inside voice. He uses his, "I am projecting to the back of a TEDx auditorium" voice. Through his extremely loud, completely unmuted conversations, I learn against my will that his name is Jaxson, spelled with an X because of course it is. I learn that he wakes up at 3:45 a.m. every single day because, and I quote, "sleep is a liability for the poor." I learn that upon waking, he immediately submerges himself in a chest freezer full of ice water while screaming at his reflection in the bathroom mirror that he is an apex predator. He actually said that, out loud, in a public setting, where people were trying to enjoy their croissants. "Listen to me, Braden," Jaxson barks into his earpiece, violently gesturing with his hands. "You're thinking too small. You're thinking linear. We need to gamify the intermittent fasting protocol. We need to 10 times the synergy of our sleep tracking app. If the users aren't optimizing their REM cycles for maximum brain plasticity, we are literally leaving equity on the table. We need to disrupt the oat milk paradigm. We need to make dairy beta again. What the hell does that even mean? Are the oats fighting back? Are we weaponizing almonds? I grip my fantasy novel so tight my knuckles turn white. I try to focus on my Shadow King, but it's impossible. Jaxson is a black hole of annoying energy sucking the joy out of the room. Every 3 minutes he drops words like Web 3.0, decentralized paradigms, and blockchain architecture. He takes a call with what I can only assume is his mother, telling her he can't come to his cousin's wedding because weddings are a low-frequency environment that distract from the grind set. Eventually, the inevitable happens. The apex predator finishes his calls. He stretches, his joints popping aggressively. He looks around the cafe, realizing he needs human interaction to sustain his massive, fragile ego. And he spots his prey. Me. A woman actively avoiding eye contact, practically trying to fuse her body with the upholstery of the armchair. He leans over the imaginary boundary separating our tables. He squints at the cover of my book, which features a very attractive, brooding elf with a sword. He lets out a wet, condescending chuckle. It's the kind of laugh that makes you want to immediately throw a heavy object. You know, he says, entirely unprompted, crossing his arms over his Patagonia vest. I used to read that stuff when I was a kid, but honestly, reading fiction is a completely low ROI activity. It's empty calories for the brain. You're bleeding brain equity right now. Have you ever read Marcus Aurelius? I slowly lower my book. I look at him. I look at his ring light. I look at his empty cup of tap water. I'm sorry, I say, my voice dripping with the kind of icy politeness you reserve for unruly toddlers. Did you say I'm bleeding brain equity? It's just facts, Jaxson says, leaning closer, completely missing my hostility. Escapism is for the 99%. If you're reading something that doesn't teach you how to dominate your market, optimize your real estate portfolio, or leverage your capital, you are actively choosing to be mediocre. That's why I only read white papers in Stoic philosophy. Before I can tell him to aggressively touch grass and mind his own business, he executes a flawless, terrifying pivot. But listen, he continues, his eyes locking on to mine with the unblinking intensity of a sociopath. I can tell you're smart. You just need the right vehicle for your capital. Have you diversified your portfolio into crypto recently? Because fiat currency is essentially a psych op designed to keep you poor. I am currently trying to read about a dragon, I said flatly. Dragons aren't real. You know what is real? Alpha coin. He says the name with such reverence you'd think he was talking about the Holy Grail. Alpha coin? I repeat, instantly regretting giving him an opening. It's my new project. Well, me and a few guys from a mastermind retreat in Tulum, Jaxson says, puffing out his chest. It's not just a token, it's a movement. We realize that traditional finance is too soft, too emotional. Alpha Coin is a decentralized blockchain verified ledger backed by pure, unadulterated masculine energy. We're tokenizing testosterone. I stare at him. I literally cannot comprehend the sequence of words that has just left his mouth. You're tokenizing masculine energy. I didn't realize Axe body spray had a blockchain. He frowns, missing the sarcasm entirely. No, it's about the algorithm. The smart contracts are coded to resist market manipulation by weak hands. It's an apex asset class. You should really let me set you up with a wallet right now. I can transfer you some seed coin, get you in on the ground floor before we get listed on the major exchanges, and goes to the moon. I need an escape. My brain is actually starting to melt. I look at my half-empty latte. It's the perfect excuse. Wow, that sounds like a lot. I'm going to go get a refill, I say, slapping my bookmark into the novel and standing up. I'll come with you, Jaxson says immediately, springing up from his chair. I need to stretch my hip flexors anyway. Sitting is the new smoking. He follows me to the register. There is a line. At least 6 people are waiting, all of them looking under-caffeinated and miserable. We get to the back of the line, and Jaxson is still talking. He is lecturing me on gas fees and liquidity pools while I stare blankly at the pastry case, praying for a meteor to strike the building. Finally, we reach the front. Chloe, the barista, looks like she's ready to walk into the ocean. I'll just take a large iced vanilla latte, please, I say, pulling out my wallet. Suddenly, Jackson's hand shoots out, physically blocking my wallet. Put that away, he commands, his voice dropping an octave in a pathetic attempt at sounding dominant. I've got this. Consider it an investment in your networking future, a demonstration of liquidity. I am so tired. I am so deeply, profoundly exhausted by his presence that I don't even have the energy to fight him. I just want my caffeine. Fine, whatever. Thank you. Jaxson turns to Chloe. Ring it up. And you know what? Give her an extra shot. The grind doesn't stop. Chloe sighs, a long, weary sound, and taps the screen. That'll be $9.45. Easy, Jaxson smirks. He pulls out his iPhone, which, of course, has a carbon fiber case. He unlocks it and immediately opens his crypto wallet app, intentionally angling the screen toward me so that I'm forced to perceive his wealth. See this? He whispers condescendingly, tapping the screen. This is what happens when you stop reading fairy tales and start reading the market. I look. There, displayed in bright, obnoxiously green numbers under the banner of Alpha Coin, is his balance. $45,231. 45 grand, he says, his voice thick with smugness. And that's just my walking around money. The rest is staked in a cold wallet. Watch how seamless this is. I just converted some alpha to a digital debt card. He holds his phone over the contactless reader. The little green light on the terminal blinks, waiting for the connection. And then, right at that exact, beautiful, serendipitous moment in space and time, the universe delivers. Karma, in all her glorious, vindictive beauty, descends upon Extraction Coffee Shop. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Jackson's laptop screen at his table across the room light up. A Discord notification pops up, then another, then 20 more in rapid succession, flooding the screen like a digital waterfall. Jackson's phone vibrates in his hand. He glances at a push notification at the top of his screen. His smirk falters. I look at his crypto wallet app, still angled perfectly toward me. The creator of Alpha Coin, presumably some guy named Braden in a basement in Nevada, has just executed a massive, catastrophic, unrecoverable rug pull scam. He has drained the entire liquidity pool. I watch, absolutely mesmerized, as the little green numbers on his screen freeze. The color abruptly shifts from green to a violent, aggressive red, and then they plummet. Not slowly, not steadily, they fall off a cliff in real time. $45,000, refresh. $22,000, refresh. $8,000, refresh. $400. Jaxson lets out a sound that I can only describe as a dying balloon. Wait, no, the smart contract. Refresh, $3.50. Refresh, 0.12, 12 cents. His entire portfolio, his apex asset class, His pure tokenized masculine energy is now worth exactly a dime and 2 pennies. He stands there, frozen in terror, holding his phone over the payment terminal. The terminal, having processed the request to draw funds from a card that is now mathematically linked to the concept of poverty, responds. It lets out a loud, violently aggressive, utterly uncompromising electronic screech. Beep, beep, beep. The screen flashes in bright, unforgiving red letters. Declined. Insufficient funds. The silence in the coffee shop is absolute. The indie folk music seems to have paused just for this moment. You could hear a pin drop if the pin was made of Jaxson's completely shattered, pulverized ego. The 6 people in line behind us are all staring. Chloe, the barista, is staring. The guy with the golden retriever outside the window stopped to look. Jaxson's face has drained of all color. The pure masculine energy has officially left his body, rapidly replaced by the cold, sweaty panic of a man who just realized he has to move back into his childhood bedroom. He furiously taps his screen, refreshing the app over and over, but the 12 cents remains, taunting him. The blockchain, he stammers, his voice cracking like a pubescent teenager. There must be a network congestion error, a node failure. He isn't an apex predator anymore. He is a very sad, very broke man in a Patagonia vest. I look at him. I look at the 12 cents on the screen. I reach into the pocket of my cardigan, feeling the soft, comforting fabric of reality. I pull out a crisp, physical, government-backed $10 bill. I place it gently on the counter in front of Chloe. I smile, a serene, gentle, deeply healing smile. Keep the change, Chloe, I say, making sure my voice carries all the way to the back of the line, echoing off the exposed brick walls. I pick up my freshly made iced vanilla latte. I take a slow, deliberate sip. It tastes like victory. I turn back to Jaxson, who is still hyperventilating over his phone. Hey, I say softly. He looks up, his eyes wide and hollow. Maybe get this apex predator a tap water. He looks a little parched, and maybe a little illiquid. I turn on my heel and walk back to my table. I sit down, I open my book. The Shadow King is about to confess his love, and honestly, it's a very high ROI activity. I didn't see Jaxson leave. I just heard the frantic packed packing of aluminum laptop stands and the slamming of the front door. Anyway, that was my Saturday. If you also think that hustle culture belongs in a museum of modern annoyances right next to the low-rise jeans and dietary supplements that taste like dirt, go ahead and absolutely smash that like button. Destroy it. Liquidate it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more stories of me just trying to read in public spaces and accidentally witnessing the devastating real-time financial ruin of men who unironically use the word synergy in casual conversation. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. I promise my videos are a highly optimized, maximum ROI use of your brain equity. And a huge shout out to today's non-existent sponsor, Fiat Currency, for when you actually want to be able to buy a coffee without having a panic attack about the blockchain. See you all next time in the reading nook. Remember, protect your peace, stay hydrated, and for the love of all things holy, never ever invest in pure masculine energy. It depreciates terribly. Bye guys!